Hello my friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Juan. I speak about automations, about AI, about sales process. If you want to learn about this, I invite you to subscribe at my channel, at my YouTube channel, to connect with me at the LinkedIn, and let's go. Today we're going to speak about triggers at n8n, and we're going to speak about the trigger when executed by another workflow. If you need to understand what is this trigger about, so stay with me and let's take a look at my screen. Right, this is my nodes and trigger dictionary. Here I have a lot of triggers, and I'm going to speak about the when executed by another workflow. When executed by another workflow, it runs the workflow when it is called by another workflow, right? Workflow A collects data, workflow B processes the data and sends an email. For example, this is for example, right? You can do whatever you want at the workflow B, right? Let's take a look. Let's make a workflow to see how it works. We will need two workflows, workflow A and workflow B. Let's change the name. Workflow. Let's use only A. Workflow A. This is our workflow A, and this is our workflow B, right? The workflow A, we will use a simple trigger when clicking execute workflow, and we're going to use the set edit fields set because we want to set some information here. For example, when we open the node edit field, we click here and you will build a variable, right? The variable will be the name, and the value at the variable will be something you want. Here the name will be Juan. This is my name, Juan, right? And every time that I execute my workflow, I have this information as an output of this node, right? After this, I need to use the node. I need to use execute subworkflow. We need to use the execute subworkflow. This node will send the information that I have at this workflow to another workflow, right? Execute workflow to what workflow? To workflow B. How can I receive this information at workflow B? Here we have this trigger when executed by another workflow, right? We are going to use this. So every time that I execute this workflow, I will receive the information at my workflow B, right? Let's take a look at the settings of the node. Let's take a look. When executed by another workflow, the parameters we have here is input data mode. You can use define using fields below, define using JSON example, or accept all data. Let's start for accept all data. Everything this node receive will be received by this workflow, right? Let's save. And looking at the settings of this workflow, execute subworkflow, you need to choose what is the workflow that you want to send the information, right? So here I'm going to find the workflow B. This is where I want the information to be sent, right? And I'm going to send this. So every time I execute my workflow, you can see that the workflow was executed I'm going to receive this information here. Let's take a look again. Executed, and here we're going to receive the information. What did we receive here? Is the name Juan is what is at the my edit fields, right? What I set. Other option we have here at workflow B, at our trigger. You can change the input data mode to define using fields below. So you are going to set a variable that you want to receive. For example, I want to receive the name. This is a string type, right? It's just letters. I'm going to save, and when I set this parameter like this, when I'm going to look at my workflow A at the parameters, you can see that we have a new thing here, a new thing we need to fill here is the workflow inputs. It will ask for you what is the information that it need to be like the variable you set. All right, so it showed to us, and we need to drag the information we want to send and drop here at the variable, right? So every time we execute the workflow, it will be executed, and we will receive what we told that we want to receive, right? Let's take a look at the execution. We received the name, right? Same thing. Another parameter we have here is the JSON example. The JSON example is just like the define using fields below, but you can use a little bit of code. You can use a code to set what is the fields you want to receive. Okay, so let's take a look. And you can see field number just like is at the JSON. You need to understand a little bit of code to use the JSON option here, right? Let's accept all data for a while. Okay, at this workflow A, what options we have here of parameters? Workflow we are going to send to workflow B, right? Mode, what is the mode? You can run once with all items, or you can run once for each item. What is the difference between these, right? Let's take a look at our example. I'm going to get now a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet here. This spreadsheet is called names, and here I have 3 types of names, right? I have 3 types of names, 3 different names: Juan, John, and João. This is my name in different languages, right? And I need to get these names and throw it to my workflow B. So I'm going to use the spreadsheet, Google Sheets. I'm going to get the node get. Instead of the set, I'm going to use my Google Sheets node. I'm going to get my URL here to find my spreadsheet. I'm going to change my document type aqui here and I'm going to use the by URL, right? The sheet is the page 1, and that's it. Every time I execute my workflow, I'm going to have as an output of this node three items, right? Juan, John, and João. When I send it to my workflow B using the execute this sub workflow, we have these two options, run once or run once for each item. When we use the option run once with all items, we're going to receive at this workflow in only one execution the three items we had as an output at the Google Sheet node, right? For example, we received, we get three items here, we send it to workflow B, and we receive, let's take a look, at only one execution, we receive the three data, right? The three names. When we change here for run once for each item, we're going to execute the workflow and we're going to receive three different executions at our workflow B, right? Let's take a look. One execution with just one item with name Juan, other execution with name John, and another execution with the name João, right? We have another option here that is important to understand. This option, wait for sub workflow completion, right? What does it mean? When this option is turned on, it will wait for your workflow B to finish, and when it finish, your workflow A will keep, right? Will continue. So it must wait the workflow B finish, and then it can keep going, right? When you turn it off, you don't need to wait the workflow B finish all the workflow for it to continue, right? It's just like this, right? It's a simple this is a simple trigger tool. It's a little bit more complex than others, like trigger manually and the chat trigger or the form submission trigger, but it's simple to understand. But it's important for you to understand every parameter, every option, because when you have when you are working with a lot of workflows, when you have a complex system, you need to understand this, because it will give you some resources, some different ways to work, to solve some problems, right? So it's important to understand these types, these modes, these two modes, this option, when it is turned on or turned off, right? And the options of how to receive the data, right? And this is our when executed by another workflow trigger, right? I hope this video helped you. If you want help to understand how n8n works, to understand about AI, to understand about sales process, I have a mentorship program that is just one-on-one meetings, and we can talk, you can speak about your goals, and I will help you to achieve your goals. right? The link is at the description, and I see you at the next video.